All right, what's up, guys? VV back with another video. And in today's video, it is time to go over the blue cards, the mind cards in the Riftbound TCG. We're going over all the different cards in the very first set, Origins, okay? We've already gone over red, Fury, we've gone over green, Calm, and now we're going over Mind Blue. Okay, so let's get right into this, guys. I'll have everything time-stamped in the general description, and I'll have all relevant links and stuff like that in the comments section below. If you guys have any comments, questions, or suggestions, please do not hesitate to put those down in the comment section below, or hop on the VV Theory Discord. Link will be in the channel description. Alright, guys, one more thing I want to mention real quick before we dive into this is we've got about 40 different cards to go over. Okay, so we're going to be trying to move through this pretty quickly. Okay, so buckle up. Here we go. First up, we have Consult the Past. This is a 4-cost spell with hidden and reaction, draw 2. Okay, that is a very classic effect in pretty much any trading card game. You'd love to see it. Glad to see that that's in the first set of Riftbound. Looks like they're off to a good start. Okay, next up. We have Eager Apprentice. This is a 3-cost, 3-might Piltover unit with, while I'm at a battlefield, the energy cost for spells you play is reduced by 1 to a minimum of 1. Okay, so it looks like we got something going on here. Maybe this will be a theme to look to pay attention to. While I'm at a battlefield, the energy cost for spells you play is reduced by 1 to a minimum of 1. I wonder if cost reduction is going to be a big part of Blue's package. We'll have to keep an eye out for that. Otherwise, this is a nice 3-cost, 3-might unit, so it's right on. It seems like this is a pretty solid card. Like it has a good cost to might ratio, and then it has an added-on bonus effect like this. Seems good. Okay, let's keep going. Next up, we have Falling Comet. This is a 5-cost spell. Action speed, deals 6 to a unit at a battlefield. Okay. Bringing the heat here with Falling Comet, dealing 6 damage. Now, you are paying 5 for this, so that's a pretty big cost, right? It doesn't recycle any runes, but this just costs 5 straight-up resources here to deal 6. So I guess it is at least, it's like on curve, I guess you could say, because if you're paying 5, you should be able to deal with most 5-cost or lower units in the game with a 6 damage spell. But other than that, nothing too flashy here, just straightforward, raw power, deal 6, seems good. Okay, let's keep going. Next up, we have Jeweled Colossus. This is a 5-cost, 5-might Mount Targon unit with Vision and Shield. Okay, Vision, we got a new keyword here. When you play me, look at the top card of your main deck. You may recycle it. Okay, very interesting. So it looks like Blue, looks like it might have some type of cost reduction built in and the ability to do some card draw like we saw with Consult the Past. And now even with Vision, the ability to scry and look at the top cards of your deck. And look at this, guys, you may recycle it. So if you look at the top card and you don't really like what you see, okay, well, let's put that down to the bottom of the deck. Seems good. And this is a 5-cost, 5-might unit with shield. Okay, so it will defend for 6. All right, very nice. Okay, let's keep going. Next up, we have Lecturing Yordle. This is a 3-cost, 2-might Bandle City Yordle unit with tank, and when you play me, draw 1. Okay, so tank means I must be assigned to combat damage first. Now, one thing that's interesting about this card, I actually like this card a lot because this is a 3-cost card with 2 might, which seems understated, right? Okay, it's not a great cost to might ratio. However, your opponent has to deal combat damage to this unit first in battles, and when you play this card, it replaces itself right away and draws a card. So it's not going to be great at winning you any battles. However, it does kind of protect, maybe your more important units at the battlefield, and it does replace itself as soon as it comes into play. Seems good. All right, let's keep going. Very nice. Next up, we have Mega Mech. This is a 7-cost, 8-might unit. Bandle City Mech unit. And this is just a vanilla character here, guys. Now, we saw this, we didn't see any vanilla units in red in Fury, but in Calm, in green, we did. We saw one. It was a 5-cost, 5-might unit. But this is a 7-cost, 8-might unit. Okay, and that seems pretty good. And, you know, I'm going to be honest, that's actually more like what I would have preferred to see from the first vanilla card we saw. So this is a 7-cost 8 might unit, vanilla with no ability, and that's actually the way I think that this card should have been statted as well. This Playful Phantom that we saw in Calm in green, I think this should have been a 5-cost 6-might unit, and I hope that, you know, I'm sure Riot is still trying to figure out how they want to balance the game perfectly. But I think the way they should build their cards at a base level is basically whatever the cost is, I think the might should be the same as the cost plus 1. So now you have something to work with some of your units that, you know, are going to have abilities built in. So that way it might be, you know, like let's just say in this case, if it's a unit with an ability, it could be 5-cost 5 might and then an ability instead of 5-cost 6 might. So I do think they should have, I hope they are still experimenting with that, and who knows, maybe each color will have different cost to might ratios. You know, there's really no telling, right? There's no telling. Okay, all right, so either way, this seems like a good card. This is just a huge character to just drop down, or a huge unit to just drop down and attack into battlefields with. Seems good. Okay, let's keep going. Next up, we have the Mind Rune. This is just the standard one, and then we have the Alt-Art one, and this one looks really awesome. All right. Next up, we have Orb of Regret. This is a 1-cost gear with tap, give a unit -1 might this turn to a minimum of 1 might. Okay, so it can never go under 1 might. And I wonder if, will that kill a unit? I think that's what it's called in this game, right? Whenever you're taking out, KOing a unit, you're killing the unit. If you can ever reduce a character, or excuse me, a unit's might to 0, does that get rid of it? I'll have to look into that. Either way, this is a 1-cost gear that you can just tap every turn to -1 might for the turn. This actually seems like a very useful piece of gear here. I'm a big fan of this. Very nice. Okay, let's keep going. Next up, we have Pit Crew. This is a 3-cost 3 might Bandle City unit with, when you play a gear, Ready Me. Whoa, okay. Maybe you can do some tricks with this, right? Maybe there will be a deck that can get down this Pit Crew, play out a gear, and then attack straight in. This is a very cool kind of card in a game like this. I'm a big fan of that. Okay, very nice. Let's keep going. Next up, we have Riptide Rex. Okay, we have a 6-cost 6 might unit. Okay, we're finally seeing something that requires you to recycle some runes here, and this recycles 2 runes, 2 mind runes. This is a Bilgewater Pirate unit that has, when you play me, deal 6 to an enemy unit at a battlefield. Wow. First of all, can we take a second to just really appreciate this picture? This is like a shark with arms, okay? I don't know, maybe it has fins as well, but this is like a shark with arms and with 4 or more cannons on its back. Just an incredible picture. But no, in all seriousness though, guys, this card seems very strong. 6 cost for 6 might. You do have to return 2 mind runes. You have to recycle 2 mind runes to play it. However, when you play this card, you're going to deal 6 damage to an enemy unit at a battlefield. And see, I'm already liking this card a lot more than the spell we saw earlier, this 5-cost Comet. Because for 1 cost more, you can actually get a 6 might character to go along with it, or a 6 might unit to go along with it. Now, I understand this is different. You know, you don't have to recycle runes to play this, and it's just, you know, you can just use this whenever, of course, and it is action speed. But man, I have to say, when it comes to just the value in games, you know, in trading card games, usually the characters are the most important thing compared to the spells, because if the character can do something the spell does, and then also is a body afterwards, it's just all upside, right? It just seems like all upside. All right, let's go on to the next one. Okay, next up we have Smokescreen. This is a 2-cost event, or excuse me, a 2-cost spell. Sorry guys, the One Piece player came out at me for a second there. This is a 2-cost spell, Smokescreen. You do have to recycle a mind rune. Its reaction speed, wow, okay. Give a unit -4 might this turn to a minimum of 1. Sorry guys, I kind of read that first in my mind before I actually read it aloud. And I have to say, this is nice. Okay, this is nice here. So for 2 at reaction speed, you're just going to dunk someone's might all the way down to 4. So it looks like another theme I'm picking up on here for blue is just might reduction. You're just having might reduction all over the place. and a 2-cost spell is really not bad. And you do have to recycle a rune, but if you get down a seal early on, then this is basically a very, very high value card here. Because for 2, -4 might, that's going to help you win a lot of battles, especially early on. Really nice. Okay, let's keep going. Next up, we have Sprite Call. This is a 3-cost spell with hidden and action with play a ready 3 might sprite unit. Excuse me. Let me try that again, guys. Play a ready 3 might sprite unit token with temporary, which means you'll have to kill it at the start of its controller's beginning phase before scoring. Okay, so we got some tokens going on here. Okay, we have a 3 might sprite unit token. That is hard to say, guys. 3 might sprite unit token. This is interesting. I guess this will help you battle. You know, I guess this will help you at a showdown, because you can hide this and play it out later for 0, right? You know, using up a rune and then playing it for 0. But the thing is, it only has temporary. So at the end of the, you know, at the beginning of your next turn, before you score any points, this card will go away. So I guess while it doesn't really help you secure a point in that way, where you might not be able to still capture a point at, you know, at the beginning of your next turn, it does at least prevent your opponent from taking it, you know, from taking the battlefield if this helps you win the battle. So not too bad. All right, let's move on to the next one. All right, next up we have Stupefied. This is a 1-cost spell, reaction speed, with give a unit -1 might this turn to a minimum of 1 might, and then draw a card. Draw one. Wow. Okay, so I think any kind of card that's just pay 1 to draw 1 is typically good in most trading card games. I mean, it depends, of course, but you're only using 1 resource and 1 card from hand to draw a card. So you're cycling for the cost of 1 resource, right? But in this case here with Stupefy, you're also going to be giving a unit -1 might for the turn. So you're going to be debuffing them while cycling a card. This is a really nice utility card here. I'm a big fan of this one. Okay, let's keep going. Next up we have Watchful Sentry. Okay, this is a 2-cost 1 might Freljord unit with Death Knell, draw 1. Okay, so a lot of card draw going on here for blue. I'm starting to see that's definitely a common theme. Lots of might manipulation and lots of card draw going on here. Big fan of what this color's doing, guys. I tend to gravitate more towards the control decks in whatever game I play, so I really like what I'm seeing here. But check this out, guys. Death Knell means when I die, get this effect, okay? So for the One Piece players who might be listening, this is an on KO effect, right? Whenever this character gets killed, or whenever this unit gets killed, you get to draw a card. And this is a 2-cost 1 might unit, so it is a little bit weak in that regard. However, it's kind of meant to be that, right? It's just meant to be a character to play out very early on, or excuse me, a unit to play out very early on. You just kind of throw it into a battlefield. Hopefully it gets a point from conquering a battlefield early on before anything's there. And then, okay, they go into attack it. Sure, maybe it takes a smaller unit down with it, and then you get to draw a card. So very nice, really solid card here. Okay, let's keep going. Next up, we have Blast Cone Fae. This is a 2-cost 2 might unit, and you do have to recycle a mind rune. And this is a Bandle City Fae unit with hidden. Okay, so we have a unit with hidden now. I think this might be the first time that I've seen a unit that has hidden. We've seen it on spells, but this unit has hidden. And it has, when you play me, give a unit -2 might this turn to a minimum of 1. Wow, okay. That's cool. Okay, so it's kind of like a sneak attack, right? You play down a hidden card here, and well, okay, so I really love this hidden mechanic. That is really interesting. Where, okay, imagine, this is just an example, but imagine you're playing a green-blue deck of some sort, right? Some type of green and blue deck with all these different hidden cards built in. You have no idea what's under there, right? Because notice what it says for the, if I'm understanding this correctly, guys, it says hide now for 1 rune of your choice, right? You get to recycle a rune of any color to play this card face down hidden, and then you'll be able to react with it later for 0. So you can return any color rune card back to, you know, you'll be able to recycle whatever rune card you want to the bottom of your rune deck, and your opponent has no idea what card you played. That is very cool. That's going to provide for some very interesting interactions, and probably some very interesting deck building options as well. Okay, big fan of this card. Let's keep going. Next up, we have Energy Conduit. This is a 3-cost gear with tap, reaction, add 1. So you can play this, I guess, in reaction speed. Is that what they're trying to say here? To add one resource, okay? Just one colorless resource to use at any time. Seems good. Okay, just a solid utility gear. Very nice. Okay, let's keep going. Next up, we have Garbage Grabber. This is a 2-cost gear with recycle 3 from your trash and pay 1 and tap this gear to draw a card. Okay, so you're going to have to put 3 cards from your trash to the bottom of your deck and pay 1 and tap this card to draw a card. That seems pretty balanced, and you're going to have to play this out for 2 costs as well. However, if you have enough ways to fill up your trash, then, you know, ultimately, for the cost of 1 resource and tapping this gear, you're drawing an extra card every turn. That's actually very nice, and over the course of a long game, that starts to really add up, guys. If my opponent's only drawing 1 card a turn, and I'm drawing 2 cards a turn, well, think about that, guys. After 3 turns, my opponent's drawn 3 cards, and I've drawn 6. After 4 turns, my opponent's drawn 4 cards, I've drawn 8. That adds up very, very quickly, guys. Very nice. All right, let's keep going. Okay, next up we have Gemcraft Seer. This is a 3-cost, 3-might unit, Mount Targon unit, with vision, and other friendly units have vision. So, and understand the way that vision works, guys. It says, when you play me, look at the top card of your main deck, you may recycle it. So, in other words, whatever units you already have on the board, they don't really benefit from that, right? Because they're already in play. But you play out this Gemcraft Seer, you get to use vision right away. So when you play me, look at the top card of your main deck, you may recycle it, and then other friendly units have vision. So whatever you play after that should be able to look at the top card of your deck and potentially recycle it. Seems good. Very nice. And again, this is a 3-cost, 3-might unit. You do have to recycle 1 Mind Rune to play this, but still not too bad, especially getting to sift through your deck and, you know, fix your hand and all that good stuff. Okay, let's keep going. All right, next up we have Mushroom Pouch. This is a 2-cost gear with, at the start of your beginning phase, if you control a face-down card at a battlefield, draw 1. Okay, this is a very situational draw card effect. Unlike the other gear we just saw, the Garbage Grabber. I mean, yes, there is a condition to this where you have to recycle 3 cards from your trash. However, if you're filling up your trash enough, this becomes... Over the course of the game, as you're using your cards from your hand, a lot of stuff's going to your trash. So this is a very convenient cost here, right? You're like, okay, recycle 3 cards from my trash, no problem. There's probably going to be a bunch in there anyway. This isn't... You don't have to really go too far out of your way to satisfy that cost of recycling the cards from your trash. And then paying 1 resource is no big deal at all to draw a card. But with Mushroom Pouch, there is a little bit of setup built in, where at the start of your beginning phase, okay, so it has to be at the start of your beginning phase, you have to control a face-down card at a battlefield to draw 1. So I'm not a huge fan of how that's set up, but who knows, if you're running enough cards, enough hidden cards in your deck, this could be very powerful. We'll have to see how things shape up over time. Okay, next up we have Portal Rescue. This is a 3-cost spell. You do have to recycle 1 rune to play it, and it's at action speed, and it says banish a friendly unit, then play it to base, ignoring its cost. Okay, so banish a friendly unit. I think that's the first time we've seen that specific wording there, banishing a unit. You're not returning it to hand or anything, you're banishing it. And I wonder if that's similar to how like Magic the Gathering is, where you kind of exile it, but this is bringing it back into your base. When it says banish a friendly unit, then play it to base, ignoring its cost. Okay, so it's kind of just, it's almost like it's blinking, like it's flickering in and out of play. So you're going to banish a friendly unit, then play it to base, ignoring its cost. So not only are you potentially saving this from a battlefield, again, if I'm understanding this correctly, you could be potentially saving a friendly unit from a battlefield, and then it plays to base, and it says play it to base, so it should get all of its on-play effects afterwards. I'm a really big fan of this card. This is going to allow for some major tricks to happen if I am understanding this card correctly. Very nice, and the art looks really cool on this. All right, let's move on to the next one. Next up, we have Raven Bloom Student. This is a 2-cost, 2-might Noxus unit with when you play a spell, give me +1 might this turn. Okay, this one's pretty straightforward. You know, whenever you play a spell, give me +1 might this turn. And this isn't the same as a buff from green. I don't believe this is the same thing as a buff from green. So notice this, it says when you play me, or excuse me, when you play a spell, give me +1 might this turn. So I would imagine you could just keep stacking on spells for the turn, and this character, this unit could get pretty massive pretty quickly if you have enough spells to unload in one turn. Very cool. I do like cards like this that can kind of scale with, you know, as you go over the course of the game, where it's like, okay, I've been saving up a bunch of different spells here, and I'm just about to go crazy out of nowhere by playing like 3 or 4 out in one turn, and now all of a sudden I have a +3/+4 might Ravenbloom Student, and they're hitting for like, you know, 5, 6, 7, whatever. Very cool. Okay, let's keep going. Okay, next up we have Retreat. This is a 1-cost spell, reaction speed. Return a friendly unit to its owner's hand. Its owner channels 1 rune exhausted. Okay, now you do have to return a friendly unit to its owner's hand. So even though it's worded in a way where it says owner's hand, a lot of cards put that wording in the game, so that way in case you ever take control of someone's unit and then try to bounce it with an effect like this, it goes to the owner's hand. So for example, if I had control of someone else's unit and then I used Retreat on it, you know, because now it's a friendly unit to me, I have control of it. If I were to try to return it to, you know, use Retreat here, it would return the friendly unit to its owner's hand. Okay, so that would be the person who actually owns the card, not who's currently in control of it. And then its owner channels 1 rune exhausted. So very cool card here. More combat tricks, but this one I'm not as big a fan of, even though it's going to potentially help you save your characters early on, or probably throughout the game, right? Because reaction speed, play at any time, even before spells and abilities resolve. So, okay, actually, the more I'm thinking about it, I do really like this card, because your opponent might try to remove one of your characters, one of your units that you really like, and you're just going to be able to react with this and say, actually, I'm just going to return this back to my hand, and then I'm going to be able to channel 1 rune exhausted, so ramp 1 resource. Very nice. Okay, actually, so the more I thought about this card, I was like, wait a minute, this is a very nice card. Now it will largely depend on what kind of deck you're going against, but if you're going against like a very high removal deck, a card like this, a 1-cost way to save your unit and then also ramp a Dawn, so you know, getting into the late game even faster. Very strong effect here. All right, let's keep going. Next up, we have Singularity. This is a 6-cost spell with deal 6 to each of up to 2 units. Okay, here we go again. I'm not really trying to say anything bad about the card we looked at earlier, this Falling Comet. But man, after seeing some of the other potential effects, this seems so lackluster afterwards. Now, don't get me wrong. Cards like this have to exist at like a base vanilla level so that these other cards we're looking at can exist as well and be like a super powered version of the card. Because the first thing I saw right away was, okay, for 5 I can deal 6. Okay, that seems really good at first. But for 1 more cost, I can deal 6 and develop a 6 might unit on the board. Now, yes, this comes at the cost of 2 returned runes. However, I'm sure most times that will be worth it. And now we're seeing another level of that in a different direction for 6 and returning 2 runes, not developing a body, but we can deal 6 to 2 different units now. This seems like a very strong spell. It's going to help you deal with some of the bigger characters, probably in the mid game with something like this. A 1-card 2-for-1 is always is typically very strong. Okay, let's keep going. All right, next up we have Sprite Mother. This is a 4-cost 3-might Fey unit with, when you play me, play a ready 3-might Sprite unit token with temporary here. Okay, well that's actually very nice. So at first I was concerned. I saw the 4-might, I saw the 4-cost with the 3-might and recycling a rune. I'm thinking, okay, this better be a pretty powerful effect. And it is actually very strong because, okay, notice what it says. When you play me, play a ready 3-might Sprite unit token with temporary here. Okay, so you'll be able to use that Sprite right away to maybe attack in and conquer. a battlefield, potentially, right? And then it will go away before you actually get any points at the beginning of your next turn. But still, just being able to do that, and then you still have this 3 might unit to use afterwards. So really good stuff here. Seems good. Okay, let's keep going. Next up, we have Ava Achiever. This is a 5-cost 4 might Bandle City Yordle unit with when I attack, you may pay 1, okay, pay a mind rune to play a card with hidden from your hand here, ignoring its cost. Okay. Let me try to process this. So it's a 5-cost 4 might unit, okay? And then it has, when I attack, you may pay 1 mind rune to play a card with hidden from your hand here, ignoring its cost. Okay. To play a card with hidden. Okay, I see. So instead of like playing a hidden card face down, I think you're going to get to use the effect of it right away. Am I understanding that correctly? So, guys, someone help me out in the comment section below if you can. When I attack, you may pay 1 mind rune to play a card with hidden from your hand here, ignoring its cost. So yeah, I think what they're saying is like when you attack with this unit here, and let's just say you have one of these hidden cards in your hand. Let me just grab one real quick. So actually, okay, let's use this Blast Cone Fae. Okay, so you might be able. So when you attack in with that unit, you will be able to recycle 1 rune, okay, 1 mind rune to just play this card right away. I'll have to see how relevant that is, because can't you just do that anyway with the hidden cards, or do you have to wait an entire turn to activate a hidden card, right? If it's been hidden, I'll have to check into that. But I will say, just looking at the card with what limited knowledge I have of the game and of the hidden cards, it seems like there could be some potential here. We'll have to see how that pans out. Okay, let's keep going. Next up, we have Convergent Mutation. This is a 2-cost spell with reaction speed. Choose a friendly unit. Increase its might until it's equal the might of another friendly unit. That wording was very strange. Choose a friendly unit. Increase its might until it equals the might of another friendly unit. Okay, it made more sense that time, the second time I read it. Okay, so choose a friendly unit and increase its might until it equals the might of another friendly unit. So this is going to be a way to kind of just double up your damage for the turn, right? Double up your might for the turn to take over a battlefield. Seems good, and it is in reaction speed. This doesn't seem too bad. A really strong combat trick, and man, this picture goes pretty crazy, right? The pictures in this game, the art in this game is just incredible. But yeah, I do like this. It's a little bit gimmicky because I think you'd want to combo this. You can choose a friendly unit, so it can be any kind of unit, right? I would imagine that's even like tokens, or tokens might not be the same thing as a unit. I'll have to look into that. But whatever the case is, you're going to want to combo this with a in a deck with another color that can make a bunch of smaller units that you can give something like this to. Now, I will say this: if we use this Convergent Mutation with something like we already saw, like this Watchful Sentry. Okay, now that could be really good, right? And what I'm saying is turn that friendly unit, turn this unit into something bigger, maybe like what we saw, well, I don't know where it is now, guys, but, one of these bigger, larger might units, you'll be able to get some extra, extra damage in for the turn, so to speak. Okay, very nice. Let's keep going. Okay, next up we have Dr. Mundo. This is an expert here, the expert Dr. Mundo, Zaun champion unit. 8 cost, 6 might, and you have to recycle 2 runes. And it has, my might is increased by the number of cards in your trash. Okay. Okay, so I will say this. We'll have to see what kind of support we can go off of, or like what we can combo this with. But I haven't seen a lot of ways to fill up the trash. But over the course of the game, Dr. Mundo's might will be increased by the number of cards in your trash. And then at the start of your beginning phase, you can recycle 3 cards from your trash. Well, that's not even a good thing, right? At the start of your beginning phase, you have to recycle 3 cards from your trash. So that kind of nerfs Dr. Mundo every turn. But who knows? This could be pretty good. And I mean, even if, think of it like this, guys. If there is just 3 cards in your trash, this is an 8 cost, 9 might unit. But if you have like 10 or more cards in trash, this card just seems like it could be insane. My might is increased by the number of cards in your trash. Wow. I was going to say, one thing I was going to mention was, two things. Number one, I haven't seen a lot of ways to fill up the trash. And number two, it seems to have like a negative synergy with this garbage grabber where you're trying to recycle 3 cards from your trash, paying 1 to draw a card. But overall, I mean, this card has a lot of potential. Seems like it could be a little bit gimmicky. But at the same time, if your opponent's not running much removal in their deck, this card could just run rampant and just, just go on an absolute rampage. Okay, let's keep going. Next up, we have Echo Recurrent. This is Echo Zaun Champion unit. It's a 5-cost, 5-might unit with Accelerate and Death Knell. Now, the Death Knell effect accelerates very much standard for what we've seen so far, where you have to pay 1 and recycle a rune of the color the card is, and then it can enter in ready. But then the Death Knell effect is recycle me to ready your runes. Okay, and that says when I die, get the effect. So if this unit gets knocked out for whatever reason, all of a sudden you're going to be able to ready all of your runes. So you'll have to really, you'll probably be able to get a lot of effect out of that. Man, this actually seems very good, because I think I read somewhere or saw somewhere, I've been watching a bunch of random videos here and there on Riftbound, and I think there's like a floating resource system in this game. So even if you have all your runes, active, I think you'll be able to just, tap them down before this unit gets killed, and then once it does, then you can stand them all back up and have double the amount of resources for the turn. And again, guys, if I'm off on that, please help me in the comments section below. But I think I saw that somewhere where you can like float resources in this game. But whatever the case is, anytime you can double your resources for the turn, that has a lot of potential. But what's even better is this is a 5-cost, 5-might unit, and you could even give it Accelerate if you have the extra resources and it's attacking in right away, and then you're not afraid that it gets removed. This is a solid card all around, or at least it seems to be. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Next up, we have Heimerdinger, the Inventor. This is a Heimerdinger Piltover Yordle Champion unit. It is a 3-cost, 3-might unit with I have all tap abilities of all friendly legends, units, and gear. Okay, very, very nice. So this is going to be some type of combo piece right here, right? We'll have to see what people can come up with. I'm sure I'll give something like this a try as well. I do really like to make combo type of decks and stuff like that. It's fun, it's technical, it's a good time usually. But I'm sure there's going to be something we can combo with this. I mean, even like what we saw all the way back with the red cards, with the Fury cards, there was some gear. There was a Ballista gear that can deal 2 damage to a unit at a battlefield. I don't know, maybe you'll be able to combo this Heimerdinger with something like that, where you're just like bombarding their field. We'll have to see what happens, but it seems like there could be some potential here. Cannot wait to mess with a card like this. All right, let's keep going. All right, next up we have Kaisa Evolutionary. This is a champion unit. It's a 6-cost, 6-might unit with ganking, which we'll talk about in a minute. And then when I conquer, you may play a spell from your trash with an energy cost less than your points without paying its energy cost, then recycle it. And it says you must still pay its power cost. Okay, and if I understand that correctly, the number in the white circle up here, that is the energy cost of a card, and then what's under it, like if it requires a rune to be recycled, that is the power cost. And then it says, then recycle it. Okay, so when I conquer, you may play a spell from your trash with energy cost less than your points without paying its energy cost. Wow, so that seems like it could be very strong. And if you're starting to get later and later into the game, you're playing out bigger and bigger spells for less and less, right? I mean, that's just... Well, I guess I shouldn't say for less and less. You're going to be able to play out bigger and bigger spells from your trash. So, very nice. Really good stuff here. And this card, I can't remember if we went over this keyword in the other 2 videos we've done, but ganking says I can move from battlefield to battlefield. And that is really, really strong because typically speaking in Riftbound, you have your 2 battlefields in a 1-versus-1 game, and then you have your base. And you can usually only go from your base to a battlefield and then back to your base and then to another battlefield, and every time you move, you're exhausting your unit. So it is quite the process, going back and forth like that. You're having to do this over multiple turns. However, with ganking, this unit can move from battlefield to battlefield. So you'll be able to conquer a battlefield, and then on your next turn, like say you attacked in, you exhausted this unit and did whatever you had to do. Okay, well, first of all, when I conquer, you may play a spell from your trash with an energy cost less than your points without paying its energy cost. That's interesting on, when it comes to timing. If you conquer, you should get a point, and that should increase the amount, that you can get out of your trash, right? Let me see. When I conquer, you may play a spell from your trash with energy cost less than your points without paying its energy cost. So imagine you're at 3 points, right? 3 victory points, and then you conquer. That should push you up to 4, and now that buffs your effect, right? Now you can hit a card that's 4 from your trash when you do that. So if I'm understanding that correctly, seems like this card could be very strong. And then with ganking, though, okay, so let's say we conquered into a battlefield, and now this this unit's rested. Well, next turn when we set it as ready, okay, well now instead of having to go back home and then on the next turn attacking into a battlefield, this card just gets to go from one battlefield right over to the other. So ganking is a very powerful keyword in Riftbound from what I've seen so far. Okay, let's keep going. Very solid champion unit here for Kaisa. Okay, next up we have the alt art for Kaisa, the card we just went over. Very nice. All right, next up we have Malzahar Fanatic. This is a champion unit with 4 cost and 3 might with kill a friendly unit or gear and tap this card. And then you can add 2 resources. And this is like the, whenever you see them with like the symbol like that, it's talking about a specific rune, right? Now, excuse me, when it has the rainbow symbol, it's any color rune. Whereas if you see like with like one of the cards we just saw, like this Kaisa, this is specifically a mind rune that must be recycled. However, when it's like the rainbow symbol like that, it's any runes you want to recycle or use in this case. And this is a solid card for mitigating cards that do have a large recycle cost, like the Dr. Mundo we saw earlier. You can actually play this card out for 8, and you would usually have to return to you'd have to recycle 2 mind runes. However, if you use this effect here, if you use this ability on Malzahar, you won't have to recycle those runes. It will mitigate that cost. Interesting card here, more of a utility piece. We'll have to see if people can find a way to bust a card like this or to break it, but otherwise it doesn't seem too crazy. Again, it's really just more of a utility piece, because notice this, guys. You have to tap this unit as well, right? You're going to have to sacrifice a friendly unit or gear, and then you have to tap this unit just to get the 2 resources, the 2 runes. Not too bad, but again, it's going to require some kind of setup to get some kind of like real value from this card. Okay, let's keep going. All right, next up we have Progress Day. This is a 6 cost spell that has draw 4. Okay, nothing too crazy here. I mean, that is a lot of cards to draw, but you are having to invest 6 costs worth, right? It costs 6, and you're recycling a mind rune to do it. But guys, drawing 4 cards seems good. Okay, again, not too much to talk about here. We'll have to see if anyone can find a way to abuse this once people figure out how to make control decks and stuff like that. Very solid card here. Okay, let's keep going. All right, next up we have Promising Future. Okay, this is a 5 cost spell. With each player looks at the top 5 cards of their main deck, chooses 1, then recycles the rest. Okay? And then, starting with the next player, each player plays those cards, ignoring energy costs. They must still pay the power cost. Very technical card here, but I think the idea, again, someone help me out if I'm misunderstanding it, is, okay, so let's just say I play this card out. It costs 5, and I have to recycle a mind rune. And then me and, let's just say it's a 1-player, a 1v1 game. I'm going to, we're both going to look at the top 5 cards of our deck at the same time, and then we're going to pick a card, and then we're going to put the other cards on the remaining cards on the bottom of our deck. And then we are going to, then it says starting with the next player, each player plays those cards ignoring the energy cost. So they're going to play out their card first, and then I play out mine? Is that how that's going to work? And if it's a multiplayer game, then, all 3 players are going to play out their cards first, then I get to play out mine last. It's like I get the final say-so. Is that kind of what's going on there? I could be wrong. We'll have to see. But whatever the case is, this is a real double-edged sword, because what if you whiff your search and you don't see anything really good that you wanted, but say your opponent finds like an insane unit to play out? We'll have to see. But this seems like a very high risk, high reward type of spell here. Very technical, but very interesting. We'll have to see what people come up with for this one. All right, next up we got Thousand-Tailed Watcher. This is a 7 cost, 7 might Ionia unit with Accelerate. And when you play me, give enemy units -3 might this turn to a minimum of 1. Okay. So with a card like this, you're going to be able to play this down late game, and in in the late game, you'll be able to play out a unit like this and give it accelerate, and now your opponent's entire board is -3 might, across the entire board, and you're smashing in with this because it has accelerate. This seems like a potentially very powerful closer. This seems like a really strong card here. Okay, let's keep going. Next up, we have Victor, the Innovator. This is a champion unit with 4 cost and 3 might. When you play a card on an opponent's turn, play a 1 might recruit unit token in your base. Okay. When you play a card on an opponent's turn, play a 1 might recruit unit token in your base. And it doesn't say once per turn, right? When you play a card on an opponent's turn, play a 1 might recruit unit token in your base. So, I mean, if you have like a spell slinger style deck where you're just like slamming down a bunch of spells in your opponent's turn, you should be able to really start amassing a bunch of recruits back at your base. Very cool effects here. I do like effects like this. And I have to say, coming from One Piece, I do miss the whole idea of having tokens in a game. That was something I did think was a really cool aspect of other games I've played in the past, especially like Magic the Gathering. So it's cool to see a game again, running tokens and whatnot. But yeah, this card seems pretty solid. You are having, the cost to might ratio is a little low, right? You're having to pay 4 and you're only getting 3 might. But this character here, this champion unit here, they're not probably trying to go to battle. They're probably trying to stay in the base and just start, like I said, just amassing a bunch of units at base. So that could be really cool. Okay, let's keep going. Next up we have, okay, this is, so this is the same card. This is the alt art of the card we just saw. This one looks really cool. All right, next up we have Wraith of Echoes. This has, this is a 6 cost, 5 might unit. It is a Shadow Isles Spirit unit. With the first time a friendly unit dies each turn, draw 1. Okay, so this is going to allow you to cash in on characters, or units with Death Knell and stuff like that to get extra value from them. And with what we just saw, who knows, Wraith of Echoes might be, it might actually be perfect to run with something like the Malzahar we saw earlier, where you're sacrificing your own units to, add resources for the turn. This Wraith of Echoes could combo with that, perfectly. We'll have to see. But otherwise, this still seems like a very good unit here to, to combo with any kind of Death Knell or sacrificial type of deck where you're just giving up your own units to draw cards from them. And it's a 6 cost 5 might unit, so it's also, pretty solid stats. But again, one thing I'm noticing with the blue cards is a lot of their stuff seems like it's a little bit understated for potentially really powerful effects. So that seems like what's going on there. Okay, let's keep going. Next up, we have Ari Inquisitive. This is a champion unit, a 3 cost, 3 might unit with when I attack or defend, give an enemy unit here -2 might this turn to a minimum of 1 might. Okay, so there's that theme, guys. That very, very common theme we've seen in blue. That's reducing the might of your enemy's units. When I attack or defend, give an enemy unit here -2 might this turn. Okay, that's really strong. Okay, so that's kind of like a 5 might differential if you think about it. Because think about it, so you're paying 3 for like a 5 might unit. Because it is just a 3 might unit, but you're giving -2 might to one of your opponent's units whenever you attack or defend with this Ari. So this seems like a very strong card here. This is probably going to help you throughout the game, especially if you can get this card down early on and protect it with some of the other effects we saw earlier. This card could be really strong. Okay, let's keep going. Next up, we have another Ari here. This is the alt art from what we just saw. Both of them look really good. Okay, and then next up, we have Seal of Insight. Okay, this is this is the seal for the Mind cards, the blue cards. The same as all the others we've already seen. Let's keep going. Okay, next up, we have Teemo. We have a 2 cost, 2 might Teemo Strategist Champion unit here with Hidden. Okay, go figure. That makes sense. That's very thematic for this character, for those who are not aware. And it has, when I defend or I'm played from Hidden, reveal the top 5 cards of your main deck. Deal 1 to an enemy unit here for each card with Hidden, then recycle them. Okay, hang on. I got to read that again, guys. I got to process this. When I defend or I'm played from Hidden, reveal the top 5 cards of your main deck and deal 1 damage to an enemy unit here for each card with Hidden. Then recycle them. Sometimes I have to add damage to the deal 1. I don't like how that's worded in the game, but maybe that's there for a specific reason. I feel like it should say right here, it says deal 1. I feel like it should say deal 1 damage to an enemy unit here for each card with hidden, then recycle them. But whatever the case is, if you're running a deck with enough hidden cards in it, this could do a lot of damage. And it says, when I defend or I'm played from hidden, you can do this effect. So that's very cool. This is not like a really big character or a really, big champion unit, but at the same time, it has a very powerful effect. So really cool stuff here. All right, let's keep going. And of course, we're going to have the alt art for that. This one looks really cool. This is a really cool looking alt art. All right, next up we have Time Warp. This is a 10-cost spell with recycle 4 Mind Runes and take a turn after this one, banish this. Okay, so banish this spell. For those who might be new to trading card games, this is a very, very powerful effect, and that's why it costs so much. Okay, so not too much to talk about here, guys. What you see is what you get. You're going to pay 10, you're going to recycle 4 runes, and then you're going to get to take an extra turn after this one. Very powerful card here. This could help you close out games for sure. Okay, let's move on to the next one. We got one more card to look at here, guys, for the blue mind cards. It is Unchecked Power. This is a 7-cost spell with exhaust all friendly units, then deal 12 damage to all units at battlefields, okay? 7-cost, recycle 2 mind runes, and you're just going to wipe the board. I'm a big fan of abilities like this, or spells, or effects like this. I think they're very important at maintaining a balance in the game, because sometimes, how do I say this? You want to have a lot of options in your game, so it's not just one-dimensional, and you want to have certain decks that can go very wide on the board, or tall, or whatever. But you want to have decks that can really go wide on the board, and there needs to be some kind of way to keep those decks in check as well with cards like this, right? Where you can just deal 12 damage to all units and just wipe everything up. This is a really strong spell here. Now, it does only deal 12 damage to units at all battlefields. So I think that's why you have to exhaust all friendly units in order to do this. Because imagine, imagine you had some characters, some units at your base, and then you use this effect here to deal 12 damage to all units at the battlefields. Well, if this card did not rest your units, then you'd just be able to take over the battlefields, and it would almost be like an OTK. You can win almost like probably every time with an effect like this. So they did balance it in that way, where you have to exhaust all of your friendly units, and then you can deal 12 damage to all units at battlefields. So seems good. That does make sense if I'm understanding that correctly. All right, guys, that's it. That's it for all the blue mind cards. This was a really cool color here, guys. A lot of utility stuff going on. A lot of ways to just kind of slow down your opponent while drawing through your deck. And with cards like Mundo here, getting some type of benefit from filling up your trash, going through your deck. But I'm wondering if we're going to see a color later on that we can combo with blue that helps us fill up our trash a little bit quicker. Because while there were a few interactions in here, like the Dr. Mundo and the, the Garbage Grabber, it seemed like there were some ways where we could benefit from having cards in our trash. There weren't a lot of ways within blue or mind to fill up our trash. So we'll have to see how we might be able to do that to exploit some of these cards and get the most we can out of them. But other than that, I will say blue was definitely standing out to me as a color that I will probably enjoy building around in this game. I did like all the different kind of tricks you can do with cards like Retreat, dealing damage with cards like Singularity, and then just the way to debuff your opponent's board with these might reduction cards, these might manipulation cards. I'm a big fan of that. This Blast Cone Fae and this Smoke Screen, -4 for 2. That seems really, really awesome. And I think we're actually going to finish today's video with this card on the screen. This Consult the Past, pay 4, draw 2, and it does have hidden and reaction built into it. A lot of options here. Big fan of blue. In blue, guys, we saw card draw, a little bit of deck manipulation, ways to cash in on cards from your trash, ways to reduce the power of your opponent's characters, or I should say, that was One Piece talk right there, right? You'll have ways to reduce the might of your opponent's units, and just a lot of really cool stuff built in. Can't wait to mess around with this color. That's it, guys. Hope you all enjoyed. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and till next time, peace.